Hi, my name is Scott Marker, and this is another episode of Treasure Valley NIA Quick Tips. Where this came from is I'm a franchise owner of a network and action franchise for over 7 years here in the Treasure Valley, Idaho. And I run once a month professional networking groups, and we get together and help each other grow our businesses. And through that, I meet just a lot of really high caliber local business owners that are experts in their field. So I like to bring them on to share their expertise. And today's a perfect example. Chadwick, introduce yourself.
Thanks, Scott. Hi, everybody. I'm Chadwick with Service Center Pro. We are a virtual receptionist answering service company specializing in having US-based humans, AI. We answer for trade service professionals all over the country and Canada, specialize mostly in like plumber, electricians, HVAC, carpet cleaners, logging into their CRMs to do the scheduling, routing, and dispatching when they can't answer their phone.
Perfect. So then that leads right into, and I've known you for years, and I've never really asked you this question before, but how did you come up with this idea to run an answering service?
Yeah, I get that. I get asked a lot. I didn't like come up with the idea. It kind of just fell in my lap and right place, right time kind of thing. And so I don't attribute me being special at all. I just was happened to be in the right place. So I came from the world of like financial planning and had my life and health license 663. Like I was new in the business, but far enough in the business. I had just gotten my first office. I had a couple of part-time gals, and I was just really trying to make it as a financial advisor. And so I took this client friend of mine out to lunch. And the whole time we were eating lunch, his phone was ringing off the hook every 3 seconds, just ring, ring, ring. And he kept answering it. He's like, oh, this could be a customer. This could be a customer. So he's just talking and talking and talking. And after like an hour, I just was like, Harry, I basically just paid double for my meal and watched you talk on the phone this whole time. Like, how am I supposed to sell you life insurance? How am I, you know what I mean? How am I supposed to, why aren't you
Yeah,
going to buy anything from me? And he was like, I don't know what to do. I can't afford a secretary. I'm still like, like most business owners are when they're fairly new, they're at that point of, I'm big enough, I need help, but I'm not big enough to hire my own staff yet. So I'm
yeah,
juggling everything and dropping the ball on stuff, right? So, I mean, he was in that world of hurt like most of us were. And I don't know why, but at the time I was just maybe irritated more than anything. So I kind of half jokingly was just like, well, why don't you just forward your calls to my office and teach those guys how to answer your phones? And then just like we'll split the cost or whatever. Like again, I was just half joking because I was just more mad he didn't buy insurance from me that day.
yeah.
And then he was like, that's a great idea. And I said, that's a terrible idea. I don't even think it's going to work. I don't know how to do it. I don't even know if it's legal, right? And then he goes, well, if you can figure it out, I'm the first guy that signs up. And I'm the type of guy where if you challenge me to something like that, I gotta figure it out. Like
Wow.
I'm curious about. So we just, we found some software, we built some processes, and we had 4 or 5 of my good friends that were willing to try it with me because we couldn't find anything out there that existed like what we were trying to do. There's answering services everywhere, right? But
Yeah.
they're all
Oh, yeah.
Philippines, India, and you get what you get. There's a
Yeah.
lot of negative stereotypes that come with that world, and we were like, I don't want that. We didn't want that for representing our business. We wanted it to feel like a small mom and pop, owner operator
Yeah.
business still. And so what we did was we had these small teams and we put them together, and they only answered for a few clients. And then the first 4 or 5 guys we started with, it worked so well. Like unbelievably 3 times revenue kind of thing. Just blew us out of the water how many calls we were missing without realizing it and all of it. So we grew and we went from like a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday thing. Then we started having evenings and then weekends. And then we went out of Idaho and we started getting clients everywhere. And then we just exploded through COVID. And then long story short, we like it just dwarfed my other business. So it was one of those 3 a.m. epiphany moments, when your head pops off the pill and you're like, this is not an idea that a financial advisor offers to a few clients. Like this has got to be its own thing.
Yeah.
And when we launched the Service Center Pro officially in October of 2018, we outgrew that office within months and it was just exploded. So it
Yeah.
was just one of those things, like I said, just you look back and you go, man, everybody's like, why didn't I think of that? I'm like, because you weren't trying to sell insurance to some guy talking on the phone for an hour. I don't know. Like, that's the only reason I thought of it, but like, it just happened.
Yeah.
And it's been a challenge, but it's been one of those fun challenges because I love, as a financial advisor, for example, I hated not getting the instant gratification. And that's what I was missing. I love the job and I love setting up a great plan for a nice family. And I
Right.
knew that it was great, but they didn't. because they were like, this is costing us this much money, and that's all they saw. Until 20, 30 years later, when somebody died or
Yep.
retired or the plan kicked
Yep.
in, right? Then
Yep.
they'd be like,
Yep.
oh yeah, we have this and it's great. But I'm long gone by then. They don't know who I am, so I never
Yep.
got the, hey, thanks for doing this for us, right? But now when we sign up a new client and they 2, 3 weeks later, they come back and they go, I don't know how I ever did this without you guys. I've doubled my revenue. I've got all of my stuff streamlined now. Everything's organized. I'm following up with people. Like everything's great. Like this is a night and day difference. And I'm like, I love hearing that. I love when these guys come back and say, I'm able to go spend time with my family. I'm living my why again. This is great, right? And so not everybody's a great fit, but we really like working with those guys when it is a good fit because that's where we get the satisfaction, that instant gratification of knowing we're actually making a difference. And it's much better. Never looking back to the financial planning world again. This is so
Wow.
much better.
Oh yeah, believe me, it is. I say that. Um, so what's some of the most common mistakes businesses make when they answer the phone?
Oh, great question. You'd be surprised at like how many people think they're getting spam calls, right? So like when you see on your cell phone
Hmm.
or whatever, like you see that number come in and it's like spam likely, or even if it doesn't, if it's just an unrecognized number from an out of
Yep.
state or whatever, right? Or if they can't get to the call, right? They're expecting someone, if it is a true customer, they're expecting to leave a voicemail. Those are the biggest mistakes. First of all, you got to answer your phone. If you can't answer your phone, right? That's a going to voicemail. Make sure your voicemail's not full. Make sure your voicemail's also professional. Don't
Yeah.
too many of the you've reached blah 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 number, and it's just nobody's gonna leave a message. Okay. First of all, statistically, I've heard that 80% of people don't leave messages anyway. They're just gonna call the next person on the list. So if you
It's
don't
funny
answer,
because I don't anymore,
I don't leave a
especially
message.
if I know them.
Yeah,
I don't leave a message. In fact, I just text them.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's
Well,
but if I'm calling into a blind number and stuff, no, a lot of times I don't leave
yeah, there's no
messages.
point. Well, even if you do, first of all, not very many of them are going to call you back. If they
Yeah.
do call you back, it's days, weeks, maybe months later, right? Because they're swamped if they're not, if they don't have a system. But the other thing too is like half the time, if you do leave a message, they'll call you back and you'll be like, "Did you get my message?" And they're like, "No, I just saw that you called. I called you back anyway." Like,
Yeah.
well, then why do I leave a message, right? So like again, nobody leaves a message these days. So if you're looking through your phone at the end of the day and you got like 80 red numbers that you're trying to call back after 6 p.m. to see who was real and who wasn't, like,
Yeah.
sure, a lot of them might be spam, but majority of them are going to be actual people, and then you're going to be playing phone tag. So again, the biggest mistake is to ignore the call. Always try to answer. If you're at the point where you don't want to answer in front of customers or while you're driving or whatever, then you need to look at something else, right? What the alternatives option are. Either AI or an answering service or hire your own, whatever. But like you gotta answer your phone because that's the name of the game with small business. Whoever answers the phone word first usually wins. So answer. Um, Another one, again, the professional voicemail. You gotta have a professional voicemail, or just they never call back.
I'm gonna say something. I I have posted a comment here recently in the last several weeks on because somebody I'll meet like at a Meridian Chamber event or one of my network and action events or something, a new person guest or something, and then I'll call them and they've been in business for several years and it'll be exactly what you said. Uh, uh, this is 208 and it gives a number. There's no message on their phone, and then if there
Yep.
is a message, it sounds like it's a personal phone, not a business phone. And this
Yeah. Hi, this is John. You reached me. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not a
and
business
I mean, how do I
name.
know who it? I mean, so again, I think, I mean, again, speaking of the trades and stuff like that, m more than ever, it's important that you have all the stuff you just talked about if you're before they migrate to you, which we'll talk about. But it's really important because me, if I don't know, I know a great plumber, he was a customer, but if I didn't, I mean, plumber near me if I needed one. You know what I mean? And then
Mhm.
I call the first one, and if it went in, if it sounded unprofessional, I just go fine. I go right to the
Yep.
next one,
Click.
and then right
Next
to the
one.
next one. I mean, I'm
Yep.
going to the next one, and the first one that picks up wins.
Yep. Exactly. And here's the other thing. Statistically, just to reiterate it,
Yeah.
we've done the math, right? So everybody's afraid of answering solicitors. They don't want to waste their time. They don't want to, what I mean, they get bothered by it. I get it. I get it. But at the end of the month, when we run reports, the time spent on the phone talking to solicitors, robodials, any hangups and all that kind of stuff, right, is less than half of 1% of the total volume for the month.
Oh,
So when they spend all of that time ignoring those calls, right? to avoid talking to spam. They're losing business and
Yep.
losing potential customers to avoid half of a 1% of the volume that they would have spent on the phone anyway. Like it's just not worth it. You got to pick up the phone anyway, even if you
Yep.
think it's a solicitor, it could be a customer. You just never know.
Yep.
So, and you got to call everybody back, or if everybody don't answer. So, yeah, those are the big common mistakes that I see a lot.
And this is something I don't know if you're going to bring up, but I know the answer, and I want to make sure listeners do too. Is so they do hire you, and um, they get spam calls. You guys don't charge them for those, correct?
Correct. Yeah. No. And we have the ability to
Mhm.
block them, filter them, and
Okay.
sometimes for fun, if it's and here's the other tip I'll give for everybody. Like spam calls are tricky because they if it's a true spammer, they'll mask the number every day or every
Yep.
call. So blocking it does nothing because you're only
Yep.
blocking an actual number from somebody who's real that may potentially call you at some point in the
Yep.
future. You're not blocking the spammer. They're just going to change the number and call again tomorrow.
Yep.
But what we can do is if it's the same number like Yelp or Home Advisor or any of those ones that call a lot for the trade service guys or whatever, the school's trying to get banners on their baseball diamond or something, all that
Right.
stuff. We can block the numbers. And if it's really scammy, really spammy, or really like aggressive solicitors, I love sending them to a 10-minute audio file that's nails on chalkboard, fax machines, yodeling, anything else we can get the most annoying sound possible, right? Because more often than not, they're using auto dialers and they may not be allowed to hang up the call. So they're just stuck there listening to it forever. And
Oh
it's
wow.
hilarious. The other tip, though, I've found if you have a recording, like say you have a VoIP system, Ring Central or Uma or whatever out there,
Okay.
right? If you have an extension that you can transfer those calls to and the audio file plays in a fax line, on those auto dialers, if you go to a fax machine, they usually take your number off the list because they don't like
Oh,
calling fax machines. Just a little quick tips and tricks. So
yeah,
you just got to
that's
be
a
able to
great
forward
tip.
it to a fax line. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something too that's super important is that people, oh, I'm going to block that. Well, the problem is people scammers or solicitors or whatever, they get Google Voice numbers and
Mhm.
then they rotate through them. And
Mhm.
so it just you got to be careful blocking numbers because those are temporary numbers that a real customer could have a month from
Yeah.
now, a year from now.
Yeah.
So just yeah, you're spot on that because I know I hear people say it all the time and I go, you shouldn't do that. Yeah. And
Don't
then
block them.
yeah, and
It
then
doesn't do
also
anything.
you're right here. I'm a fourth generation Idahoan, but I'm telling you, we've had the influx of people moving here and any
Out of
more
state numbers.
yeah, there's so many out of state numbers where in the past I would have never picked them up, but a lot of times there's somebody wanting to talk to me, you know.
Yep.
So
Yep.
so
Yeah, exactly.
when and I know you guys kind of some of your I don't know heaviest use cases are trades and home service businesses. So when is the right time to reach out to you to get your help?
Yeah, good question. It's kind of a variable. It's not a fixed number or anything,
Right.
and everybody's a little different. So, but here's what I'll tell you: like, we don't work well with multi-level marketing people or anybody like industry-wise. Like real estate agents are tough because it's seasonal. It's ebb and flow, and there's a lot of things where um, a great example is like an HVAC company who's at that point now because they're again if they're going to go out to a job their ticket prices are usually going to be a couple $100 right
Yep.
$150
Or
for a
or
service
yeah,
call
or
minimum or
I bet you their average
whatever
is close to a
could be
thousand.
thousands right
Yeah.
especially if they're doing a new install or whatever right so like that's a great example of if you're missing at least 5 to 10 phone calls a day and your ticket prices are over $300, yeah, one phone call could pay for our entire month's worth of services, right?
Okay.
If we schedule an estimate for an install or whatever. Like, so
Yep.
that's an easy no-brainer. If you're a Legal Shield representative, for example, and we're answering your phone calls and we're spending 5 to 6 minutes on the phone to get somebody to sign up and they're only going to get you a $20 commission, you're going to spend 10, 12 bucks on that call. It's just not going to be worth
Yeah.
you know what I mean? The cost versus reward, right? So there is a threshold. Typically, our best clients are those who are busy enough that they're missing the 5 to 10 calls a day, right? If they're missing more than that, obviously it's past time to sign up. But 5 to 10 calls
Yep.
a day, or here's another one: if your spouse is answering your phone, that's fine, unless they don't want to. So ask them,
Yeah.
do you want to be answering the phone? And if they no, then it might be time to sign up for something like this, right? Or if your texts are answering the phone, or if they're overstressed because they're trying to juggle the follow-ups and all the other
Yep.
stuff they're having to do, right? Like we can do all of that so that all they have to do is show up, do the job, get a good review, and then leave. That's it, right? If they're not doing follow-ups, if they're not reaching out to the past customers to get reviews, if they're not doing the cold calls for the spring and fall maintenance plans, if they're not, if they're just not able to do all of the stuff because they're so busy doing the work and they're missing calls, yes. If you've ever said to yourself, I'm so burned out, I just don't know if I can do this much longer, then that's a big red flag, right? If we
Yeah.
call during normal business hours and you don't answer your phone and your voicemail's full, that's a good time to sign up because
Yep.
you're missing business, right? So those are some things to look for. Um, and again, not everybody can answer every single phone call. We get that. We love working with the guys that are like, I'm almost there. I want to be able to answer the phones first if I can. And then if I don't, it goes to you guys. No problem. We do that
Okay.
all day long, right? So that's an
Oh,
easy way to get started. Or there's some guys that are like, I am done with the phone. I don't want to ever talk to anybody again. I want you guys to handle everything. That's fine too. So again, there's a lot of ways to say, okay, if you're at that point where you're like, I think I could scale a little faster, a little better, a little bigger, and I just need somebody to handle the back end kind of stuff if I'm not available. Great. Perfect example of when the great time to sign up. In other words, I'm busy enough, I need help. I'm not busy enough, I can hire my own staff. I just need somebody to get me there, right? We
yeah.
charge a fractional rate, so it's a per minute, right? So at 5 to 10 minutes, you're going to spend, if you're at 500 minutes a month, for example, $1,000 to $1,500, give or take, right? On average. It's a really good starting point. It's a fourth of the cost of hiring a 9 to 5 employee. And then there's no taxes to consider, right? There's no, uh, nobody's going to call in sick.
Right.
Nobody's going to quit. Nobody's going to take maternity leave, any of that kind of stuff. Like there's no headaches with the employee side. You don't have to 1099 us at the end of the year. Nothing. Whatever. It's 100% tax deductible, and all you got to do is just write a check and then write it off. You don't have to worry about the headache stuff. So
Right.
yeah, if you're taking too long to answer it, if you're missing phone calls, if your spouse is answering the phone, or somebody else, family, friend, or whatever, right, and they're only part time or whatever, it's a big deal. Um, yeah, those are the key components to look for. I think
And then
industry
also,
wise. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, yeah. I mean, also, explain, um, like you guys don't just answer the phone. What other services do you
Oh
offer? So
yeah.
I'm a plumbing company that's got to the size where I'm missing 5 calls, 10 calls, whatever a day, and I'm like, okay, Chadwick, I need to bring on your team. And so what I mean, you guys answer the phones, and what else? I mean, is that all you do is answer the phones?
Oh, yeah, no. So we started with just the 9 to 5, Monday through Friday,
Right.
inbound only, right? When we had no idea what we were doing. But as we got successful and our clients were getting, everything was working right, everybody kept coming back to us and say, hey, I need help building my social media stuff, or I need help doing outbound calls to these people, or I need help with blah, 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 blah. And at the beginning, we were hungry and we didn't know what we didn't know. And so we said yes to everything because we were like, sure, we'll try it. Might as well. If we can build a process for it, we can do it, right? And I was always in the mindset of anything's possible as long as you can build a process and train people to follow it. But there are things we found that, while possible, they're a pain in the butt. So we
Right.
didn't want to do those things anymore, like send out cards or a myriad of other things that we tried in the beginning. So we've kind of narrowed it down, and our key components, and as you know, Scott, like when you're spread out so far, so thin, you're not going to be able to provide a really quality product or service anyway. So it was not long after, within the first year or two, that we really started scaling back and narrowing it down. So what we do really well, inbound calls, obviously,
Yeah.
99.9% answer rate within 6 seconds. I mean,
Oh,
that's
wow.
dialed in pretty
That's
good. Our
impressive.
average for the industry is 30 seconds, and they're lucky to get 90 to 95% answer rate. So they miss more and they take longer. We're still in the top 1% of the industry for that metric. On top of that, like, um, almost lost my train of thought, but like, uh, let me step back. So the difference is, like, you could hire an answering service in the Philippines or India, right? And you get what you
Right.
pay for. There's that stereotypical kind of thing. But
Right.
again, we didn't want that. So this goes right into like what makes us different from all the other answering services out there is we needed, well, our clients and me, I've been self-employed 25 years. I've been in that point where you grow, and you get burned out, and you're like, I don't know, I can't do this anymore. So you need a change, you need something different, right? Well, what we wanted is we want those guys to come in and say, hey, this is my business, this is my baby. I really hesitate giving up control, right? Because I'm still, trying to figure things out. And those are the partners that we like working with because we can take them in and we can say, okay, let's automate your processes. Let's integrate what you're doing with your CRMs. Let's figure out how we can delegate certain tasks, or what can we eliminate completely from your whatever you're trying to do out there that's just spreading you too thin. And so when we started doing that, we started getting the inbound and outbound calls. Obviously, outbound
Right.
was a big one, right? So like think about the plumber, electrician, those guys that are advertising on Facebook, advertising on Google, Nextdoor, LinkedIn, Yelp, whatever it is, right? They get a lead notification via email, and they're not the only ones. Usually, if somebody's like sending information on Home Advisor or Google or whatever, there's going to be a bunch of people calling them or
Right.
texting them, right? So you've got to be the first one when you get that lead. You got to call them right away. I don't know what the statistic is anymore, but it used to be like if you didn't call within 10 minutes, the chances of you getting a hold of them drop by 80% after that. So like you
Yeah.
got a small window to call. Most of these guys, when they get their leads, they're out working, right? So they can't
Yeah.
call right away. And usually takes some hours or even days later. And by then they've spent $75 on the lead or whatever the cost is for the click, and it's just a waste of money and time because they're just playing phone tag at that point, and nobody ever
Right.
returns their call. Or they call, they answer, and they go, "Yeah, I already found somebody else a long time ago." Right? There's always that. So on the outbound, we call within 2 to 3 minutes. As soon as we get that
Oh.
email, boom, we have a human being calling right away. Half the time they're still sitting on the toilet or whatever they were doing when they were looking at the Facebook and filling out the form in the first place, right? And so, and the other thing, little tip and trick for everybody listening, what we do, and this is a trade secret, so I'm going to share it with you anyway because it's not like secret, but
Yeah.
we do a double dial in the first attempt. And what that means is we call first and we leave, like, if they don't answer, because nobody ever answers, they don't recognize the number, right? The first call, they're
Right.
just going to be like, who's that? I don't know. So we leave about a half of a message and say, hey, this is Chad from blah, 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 plumbing company. I'm calling because you filled out a form online, and click. And then we hang up. And then I immediately call back again. Now, when somebody sees the same number calling twice, and mind you, it is the number of the business that we're calling for, because we always match the caller ID to their
Oh, okay.
number, which is
Oh,
cool.
cool.
Because then if they do call in, guess who they're calling? They're calling the business, not some 800 number or whatever random thing we
Yeah.
used,
Yeah. Oh, I love
right?
that.
So they're calling the right business, and then we know when
Mm.
they call back in that's the right business because that's all that works out great.
Right.
The but when they see that second number calling in again, they go, this must be somebody I know, because solicitors using auto dialers don't call twice. They don't have the
Oh.
capability of calling twice. So when you see the solicitors calling and you hang up, they don't call again. Somebody calls again within 10 seconds, you're going to answer your phone more likely. So they usually pick up. And I say, oh, I'm sorry. I was just leaving a message because I got disconnected the first time I called.
Oh.
I'm Chad with such and such plumbing company. But while I've got you on the phone, I just noticed you filled out your form. I was calling to see if you wanted to schedule an estimate. And they go, oh, great, it's you. It's not some, they like, hey,
Yeah.
I, I,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know who you are. I just filled
Yeah.
out the thing, right? And so it's a huge
Yeah.
win for us because like by being able to do that double dial, we get a hold of way more people than AI doing auto dials or this, what I mean, anything else out
Yeah.
there. And so if you're a plumber, electrician, or a trade service or any small business owner and you're making those calls yourself, call them twice. Just try
Wow.
it, see what happens, right? You'll see your success rate go up tremendously. Um, but yeah, so like inbound, outbound calls, right? Sorry to get, I ran tangent and I
Yep.
ramble a lot. I apologize. But we also have social media marketing management,
Yeah.
right? Like for example, Facebook messaging or Instagram messaging. We monitor those and respond. If somebody's
Oh.
commenting on your post, if somebody, email monitor, like, all of this stuff is capable, right? Our AI packages that we're coming out with here in the near future, like everybody's working on AI stuff, but our
Right.
A stuff, we've got AI for like internal, we've got AI client facing stuff, we've got AI that'll do answer the phones for like if overflow calls, right? If there's calls in queue or evenings and weekends, middle of the night kind of stuff. We've got AI that'll do all kinds of stuff. We've got packages, or we'll have packages for if somebody's like, hey, I can't afford the humans, but I want to start with AI and eventually work, all of that's
Yeah.
possible nowadays, right? So like it's going to be, we'll be able to cater to a lot more people, have a lot more lower price points for them to get in and get the help that they need. But the difference with that right now, what we're seeing with AI is, I don't know if you've ever called somebody and gotten an AI receptionist. They're clunky and they're weird, and society hasn't adopted them yet. One day they will, right? One day
Right.
will people get used to talking to AI receptionists and it'll be a
Right.
thing. But there will always be people that will just never want to talk to a robot. So there has to be humans there. And those humans, if they can log in, schedule, they know the business owners, they know all that, it's going to be a better service in general. So that's what we're trying to emulate is we're trying to maintain our human base as our primary service, item, and then supplemented by AI, supplemented, internally, for example, when they're on a call, they have AI that they use that listens to the call with them and gives them suggestions. If they hear a dog barking, it'll say, hey, there's a dog barking. Make sure you offer pet stain treatment or whatever. Kind of
See,
just
I
all kinds
love
of
that.
really
No,
cool
so
stuff,
to
right?
stop on that for a second. So that's awesome. So
Yeah.
you're a carpet cleaning company, and they hire you, and one of
Mhm.
your people, some answer the phone because they're calling in for to get to schedule a clean their carpets, and then when they're on the phone, they hear a dog in the background. The
Mhm.
AI does what?
It will prompt them and say, hey, there's a dog barking. Ask them about pet stain treatment.
I
And so
love
they'll say,
that.
hey, I hear your dog barking. What kind of dog you got? And they go, oh, it's a blah, 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 right? And they're like, do you ever need any pet stain treatments on any of the furniture, carpet areas, anything like that? And they go, actually, yeah, he pees in this room
Yeah.
all the time, right? And then boom. But like, it's different because we don't train them to do sales or upsells. They are 100% customer service. That's
Okay.
one thing we don't do is cold call for sales or anything like that.
Okay.
That takes a different person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Different mindset and everything. So it's not our specialty. We'll do calls for, let's say, an HVAC company that says, hey, I've got these customers in the spring and these customers in the fall. I just want to call them and make sure that they're on for their maintenance plan. No problem all day long,
Okay.
right? Any of the existing customers. But if you handed me a list of like 3,000 people in your area and you said, can you call these people and see if they need electrical help?
Yeah.
No, that's pointless.
Right.
Those industries don't do cold calls anyway.
So
So
again, so
yeah,
that's kind of like you're kind of like again you're like part of their team. And
yeah.
what does a trades and home service team do? Well, if you have maintenance contracts, they're gonna call you up and say, hey,
Mhm.
we want to make sure we get you scheduled, or want to make sure you're still good with that time we had scheduled 6 months ago. So you guys do all that stuff.
Exactly. And beyond just HVAC for maintenance plans, we go carpet cleaners, for example, every year we can call the customers, hey, it's been a year since your last cleaning. Do
Oh,
you want to get your yearly cleaning scheduled now? Boom. If the carpet cleaners aren't doing that themselves, the technicians aren't going to do it, first of all. But
yeah,
if they're not doing it themselves, they're losing business, right? Because next year when that customer comes back and they're like, hey, my carpets are getting dirty again, they may not even remember you. Half the
yeah.
time they think it's Stanley Steamer or whoever, somebody else, right? They just go on Google again, just like
Yep.
last time, the creatures of habit. So if we're proactively calling or texting, we can also set up email, text message campaigns, ringless voicemail campaigns, all of that stuff too.
Oh,
Um, have you ever gotten one of those voicemails where you're like, I didn't even see my phone ring? That's
I
a
know.
thing that we can do.
I just heard just the other day someone said something about that, and I'd never heard of it before. But yeah, they said your phone didn't ring, but
Mhm.
you get a voicemail.
It's almost like sending an email. You just record it, you send your voicemail, and you send it over.
Oh wow.
It's really interesting, and it doesn't ring at all. It just shows up as a voicemail, not even a missed call. It's just the voicemail. It's interesting.
Huh.
But
Wow.
um, so there's some use cases for that, and depending
Yeah.
on the industry. But um, yeah, so anyway, going back to like literally for our services, like anything you can imagine a secretary doing in the office that could be done from home or remotely, we can do as long as we can build a process um, and train people how to follow that process. Anything is possible, especially with AI coming on board these days. Not only is it possible, but it's also possible to automate, right? A lot of these programs. And so one of the things that we're going to set us apart from the rest of the industry is I've always heard, and I'm sure you have too, that people are worried about AI replacing their jobs. And I made a commitment to all of our team. I said, we will not use AI to replace anyone's job. And I've told them AI is not going to replace your job. However, we're going to train everybody on using AI. We're going to make sure everybody's up to speed on using AI, all of that, because somebody who uses AI will end up replacing the job of somebody who doesn't know how to use AI.
Right. Right.
And that's what I just want to, for our team, I'm reassuring them that their job is safe because there will always be people that need humans to talk to on the phone, no problem. But they're going to also use AI because it's going to make them more efficient, more, everything's better. So yeah,
I,
if somebody calls in and they say like, hey, can you build me a website? No, we do build websites for our clients, but only when they have like the phone package. Because we
okay.
want partnerships. We don't want transactional relationships. We want a
Right.
partner who comes in and says, I'm new in business, but I want to use you guys to take me to the whatever level I can aspire to achieve.
Right.
And we want to help them grow all along the way. And honestly, like by doing it that way, we save them a ton of money on their website, social media, all that other stuff that they could hire outside help to do it. By doing it in-house, we give them huge discounts because it's just one of those we're already profitable. We don't need to making more. So,
Right.
um, everything. Our little tagline that's kind of cute is we do everything virtually and we can do virtually everything.
Yeah, I love that. Well, the one thing too that you might have mentioned, but I want you to stress on is too that so they're just like they're your employee, and
Mhm.
they can do so. You're again trades, home service, business, whatever. You get a call saying, "Hey, I want you to come out next week." You guys, your team and ladies, can schedule that right in their system.
Right,
So it isn't like oh, he's going to call you back. I mean, if you want, if they want you to, but
right.
so it's a full. It isn't just answering the phone. It's like, hey, no, I need a plumber out here tomorrow. Can you get him out here? Yes, we can. What time? And they can schedule all that while the whole time the owner's out doing what they're doing and the team is out making money,
Yep,
right?
we get access to their CRM. So, like if they're using House Call Pro, for example,
Okay.
if somebody calls in, we'll log in, we'll build their customer profile, we'll build an estimate or a
Oh,
service call or whatever that is. We'll put all the address in there. What we do specifically too is we verify their name, spelling, and email address phonetically so that we make sure they're going to get the invoices, the house number's correct, so they go to the right place. Like all of that stuff um, on the initial call, notes. I mean, it's pretty extensive, but at the same time, every time we schedule an appointment for every single client, we have a quality assurance team behind the scenes that goes back in with two sets of eyes, two different people, a supervisor and another, and they look at the appointment. They make sure the technician's assigned correctly. They make sure the job's assigned at the right time because with time zones, right, people answering from different time zones, sometimes software programs get confused and they do geo tracking, and so we have to make sure it's done right. So every appointment gets at least two sets of eyes on it as well. And that's a big, like on our end, that's a big cost to have to like hire additional people who don't answer phones. They just do quality assurance all day long, right? So
right, right,
when people think, oh, it's $1.99 a minute, like why is it so expensive? It's because there's four people basically taking that phone call,
right.
and humans aren't free.
Yeah. No,
they're,
no,
they're
again,
expensive.
it's because you got a team, doing it.
Yeah, and the only way we can do it the way we do it is we don't hire 1099 contractors either. To maintain quality and to make sure somebody's sitting there waiting to take the phone calls, right? We have to pay them a W-2 hourly rate in order to train them in what to say and what to wear. All that stuff, they have to be W-2 employees. So we're paying them to sit there whether we get a phone call or not. Our risk is whether if we don't get phone calls, right? Then we're out. But
Right.
so the other half of that too is we partner with marketing agencies and we have some in-house stuff that we can offer. But a lot of times, if the phones aren't ringing, I know who to send them to so we can get their phones ringing.
Oh, okay.
So that's the other thing. If you're like, man, I wish I could buy these, or I wish I could sign up for these guys, but I'm just not getting enough phone calls. Call me. I'll introduce you to some guys that'll get that phone ringing off the hook, and then you'll use us, and then we'll be ready for it or whatever.
I love that.
Um,
So here's something. So
yeah.
how do like culture and core values impact customer service?
Oh man, good question.
And then before you think about it for a
Yeah,
second, is that and the weird part is I just listened to it. I mean, I listened to it again, a podcast just the other day, and they were talking about how um, a lot of business owners will say our team members are the most important part of, but then they don't invest in them,
right.
or they don't have a culture. It's just like set it and forget it. So anyway, keep going on that because, like I said, that kind of sets the stage.
But yeah, and I can tell you stories all day long about how in the beginning days, when you're desperate and you're hungry and you're like, we're going to grow, and we had clients lining up out the door trying to sign up, and we just couldn't hire fast enough and train fast enough.
Okay.
We, I will just say, we overlooked a lot of our cultural needs to hire as many people as we could because we were growing like crazy. And by doing that, we hired a lot of the wrong people, unfortunately, that weren't a right fit for our culture and our core values. Now, in the last 2 years, we've been doing like EOS, which is a coaching kind of thing, right? And we've
Yeah.
really revamped our core values and we've changed a lot of our processes so that we use our core values to determine who we're going to hire, to determine which client we're going to bring on board, which referral partners we're going to work with. Like they have to meet and demonstrate the same core values, or it just isn't the right fit. Um, and our five core values are pretty simple, honestly. Some of them are common sense, but like positive attitude, resilience, kind candor. That's one that we kind of came up with. It's a little unique to our culture, but it's basically showing support and love and having those tough conversations. Like that nobody wants to. Everybody avoids confrontation, right? But
Yep.
kind
Yep.
candor is is actually having those confrontational conversations in a way. It's like, hey, I care about you enough to tell you what you're doing wrong because I'm here to help you and I help you grow so that you stop messing up and like, you keep your job, right? Like, we use analogies a lot, but like one of them is if you're walking in Costco and you see an old friend with a booger hanging out of their nose, you got two choices, right? You can go up to them and tell them, hey, but you got a booger hanging on your nose. Like, you're
Yeah.
walking around public. What are you
Yeah.
doing? Didn't you see the mirror today? Or you could let them go and not tell them about it and let them go home and find out later. And then they're going to be like, why didn't Scott tell me I had a booger hanging out of my mouth? I saw him,
Yeah.
I saw him at Costco or
Yeah.
whatever. And
Yeah.
so like people don't always like hearing the feedback when it's constructive criticism or when they're being held accountable or anything. They don't like being
Right.
called out on their mistakes. But when it's done with love and support and you're like, look, the reason I'm telling you this is because I want to help you with it and I care about you, right? um, One of my favorite analogies, real quick, I got to share it because it's so powerful, is have you ever played soccer or seen kids play soccer on the field
Oh
or anything
yeah.
or
I
watched
never
soccer?
played soccer, but I've watched
Soccer's
soccer games and kids.
Yeah, it's so much fun to watch, especially the littler they get. They're
Oh
just
yeah.
hilarious because there's the 10 of them and they're just following around in a big group around them. And they have no clue what they're doing, right? They're just having fun. But there's always one guy on the sideline, on the parent side, who's losing his ever-loving mind, yelling at his son or daughter out there because they're not doing whatever the dad wants them to do.
Right.
And every other parent looks at that guy and goes, "What a jerk." Because he's selling, run faster, kick the ball, don't blah, blah, blah. He's just yelling
Yeah.
all day long. Now, the other alternative option is the coach is on the other side of the field and he sees the exact same thing that little Johnny's out there touching the ball with his hands and he's doing all of his stuff. He's making mistakes. But the coach reacts differently. The coach says, hey, ref, timeout. Let's blow the whistle, stop the play. And then they pull Johnny aside with the rest of the team together and say, look, remember what we talked about in practice, the fundamentals, pass the ball, don't touch the ball with your hands, right? Here's all the expectations that we expect you to do in order to have a good time and successfully play this game. And then it's like, we love you. We want you to be a part of it. Let's all do this again. Ready, reset, blow the whistle. Everybody resumes play. Now, Johnny knows what to do. He knows his expectations. And he feels supported and loved. And he's going to go out there and have a lot more fun. The message the dad was saying, the exact same thing. The content and the advice and the instructions and all of that was the exact same that the coach said. Don't touch the ball, run faster, pass more, whatever he was saying.
Yeah.
But nobody heard the dad because he didn't use kind candor. And that's the difference here. So when we have
Yeah.
supervisors that are writing up an employee for performance or behavioral issues or something like that, it's out of love. And we say, look, we got to blow the whistle and stop the play here because we got to pay attention to the fundamentals. Remember what we talked about in practice. Remember your role plays. Remember the expectations, the SOPs, right? This is what we got to do. And we're going to set goals for how you're going to do it, blah, blah, blah. And then a week later we follow up and then they improve, right? So like we have positive and attitude and resilience for that reason is because everybody has to be held accountable. And that's
Yeah.
the culture driven accountability is one of our last core values. So positive attitude, resilience, kind candor, relentless personal growth. That's another one. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better, right? Both personally and professionally. And then that accountability culture. We make sure we hold ourselves accountable and each other accountable. And one of the rules that I have in the business as the CEO and founder is if anybody in the company, anybody, I don't care if it's me or anybody, if anybody is not adhering to the core values and is not demonstrating core value behavior, anybody else or everybody else has the ability and the responsibility to call them out on it and hold them accountable using kind candor. And I can't tell you how many times I've been held accountable by my employees, subordinates that say, hey, Chad, you shouldn't be behaving that way. And I go, you're absolutely right. Thank you for calling me out on it because I was upset or I was whatever. And I let
Yeah.
something fly and
Bad
I
day. Yeah.
a bad day, right? And we all have them. But again, having that permission and or the expectation from every employee, new hires especially, I drill it first day. If you see me say something, do something, or anybody for that matter, you come and tell me. Because if you don't, all you're doing is you're telling me you don't care about me. You don't care about my
Yeah.
success. You don't care about you don't care about me, right? By ignoring me and resenting me and isolating me like the cow in the herd that they, kick out of the herd when it's injured or whatever, sick. Like
Right.
that's in every other corporate environment. If somebody's on the team and they're screwing up or they're just weird or whatever, like everybody else just isolates them and ignores them until they just either get fired or quit.
Yeah.
Not here. Everybody matters. Everybody's input, ideas, feedback. Everybody's got something different to contribute, right? So we need everybody. Our humans, like you said, are our only valuable resource that we have. We don't build anything. We don't ship anything. All we have is people. We have software and we have people, and that's it. So like our people have to be the best of the best, and they have to be resilient, and they have to take those calls that nobody likes to take, and then let them roll off their back and smile on the next one, right? So like
Right.
we have to have those kind of people. So we don't just teach, react positively to negative things. One of the things that we encourage everybody to do is to get up every morning, go through a meditation, affirmations, positive, meditation session, so that you start your day in that positive mindset. So that when things happen to you, you don't have to like react negatively inside subconsciously, and then have to consciously try to change change your attitude, change your behavior, and recover from that, and take 20 minutes or 30 minutes to like shake it off and let the anxiety dissipate and all that stuff. No, if you
Right.
start your day positive, you can those things will just bounce right off, but you don't even affect you, right? Because you're like, whatever, that guy's a jerk. Moving on, next one, right? And you just stay resilient and you stay positive no matter what. It really helps a lot, and it's really made our culture just feel like a family. And the ironic thing is, we're all remote, working 100% from home, and that was a huge problem in the beginning. Was the Zoom fatigue, right? How
Oh
do
yeah.
we make those connections? How do we build those relationships with people we've never seen, never talked to, never met, whatever? We have a fun little virtual office that everybody like hangs out in, and we have little avatars and like room around and play games and do all fun stuff in the office. So it helps bridge that gap and build those relationships. And now we see like in the kudos channel where everybody praises each other for their good stuff and all that. There's so many times in there that people are like, I have built, and again, a lot of our employees have been here for 3 to 5, 7 years, some of them, right? Like
Okay.
they stay a long time because of the culture and everything. And they'll say all the time, they've built lifelong friendships, lifelong relationships, not just with employees and with me and the leadership team, but the clients too. We have clients
Yeah.
that they've been here for years and years and years. They feel like this is just their team. Like we're just part of their staff, because that's how close of those relationships we're trying to build. Not a transactional, oh, we just have an answering service in the Philippines, and if I need something, I got
Right.
to email them, and 3 days later I hear, like that's garbage to me. Like I want to be a part of these guys' lives. I want to see their success, and I want them to come back after they've sold their business for millions and say, I couldn't have done it without you. We had three of
I
those
love
last
that.
year, by the way. Grew up
Oh, that's
so they
awesome.
sold their business and they were retired and done, living on a beach in Maui or who knows where they're at right now. But like, great, that's our goal, right? We want to get them to that level where they succeed because we feel like we succeed when they succeed, and that's powerful. That's our
I
culture.
I love that. Well, this has been great, man. I love this overall. Like I said, it's so much more than just an answering service. You might say that, but then there's all these other aspects that it's like basically you're just um, you know a fractional
Yeah.
fractional team customer service people that are helping out companies to grow. So that's great. So if someone's going to try to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get a hold of you, Chadwick?
Uh, there's lots of different ways. I'd say
Okay.
email me directly is the best. Chadwick
Okay.
at servicecenterpro.com. Um, I don't always respond right away because I'm usually in meetings and stuff, but I'll respond the
Okay.
same day. Or you can always call or text our number, the 208-315-6500. That's monitored all day too. On our website, if you'd like to check it out, servicecenterpro.com. There's other contact ways in there too. You can reach out to me directly from our website or schedule an appointment to meet with me one-on-one and do, just to make sure it's a right fit kind of thing if you're interested in it too. So all of that's
That's
available
awesome.
there too.
Well, that's awesome. Hey, I appreciate it. Hey, this has been another episode of Treasure Valley NIA Quick Tips, and I hope the audience got some ideas and listeners got some ideas out of this. And if you are a home service business and something interested, please reach out to them, and I'll have all the contact information in the show notes, so it'll be easy to get a hold of Chadwick. But hey, I appreciate it. Till next time, thanks, Chadwick.
Thanks, Scott. See you.